Welcome to MIFFS. I'm Matt Huss. And I'm Dan Rhodes. Whether you know about Theseus or you're revising your syllabus, if you want tales with a bit of jest or you just want to hear about incest. What? What? It's really interesting. Welcome to MIFFS. Welcome to MIFFS.
Hello and welcome to episode 104 with your faithful podcast companions. I'm Matt Hoss.
And I'm also Dan Rhodes.
And we are MIFFS. And, Dan, I did a podcast the other day, and what annoyed me is that the hosts had, written introductions as well, really snappy one-liners and stuff like that. I was like, we never do that. We've never done, any snappy written... We've never written anything down for this podcast.
No. Why would we, though? What a waste of everyone's time.
yeah, because I don't think it adds that much. Because maybe for the next episode we should write each other an introduction with like this is a man who likes spam. It's Dan, something like that.
Oh, and okay, like in boxing or like a ringside.
Yes, yeah, that's good. Yeah,
in the blue corner, weighing. Yeah, okay. Have we done that before? I swear we've done that before as a joke.
I think we had a boxing match before.
Yeah, because I was in the blue corner, weighing about 12 stone.
Well, after 8 week bets, it's 17 stone, all that milk. But we also to come back to the idea that you can't really remember many things. Recently you shared with some of your friends some episodes, which is really awesome, and they kind of gave some nice feedback and stuff like that. But you were like, guys, don't ask me any questions because I don't remember about 75% of the episodes. I'm like, come on, man, you're half of this podcast.
No, but I remember the episodes. But I have this thing recently where people are starting it right from the beginning, way back from the beginning of 2018, right?
Yeah.
And people will ask me to clarify some really intricate minor points of myths. Yeah. And now I remember the bigger picture. I can tell you vaguely what each episode was about. Oh, this is about when this thing happens and then this thing happens and then he goes and does this thing. I can do it on that level, and I know kind of what each character is, of course. But I'm talking about really intricate things, like when people are like, what was the one I had the other day from Liam's friend Dini? She was like, oh, I can't think of it, but it was about, when people are like, hi, Dan, I noticed that in this episode, you say that Athena was born from this, this, and this, but how could that possibly be? Because at the same time, You also said, and do you remember when you said that she was, and I was like, I don't remember I don't remember what little things that we said or clarified.
Mm-hmm. You know what, man? I 100% agree, and I'm exactly the same as well. Because, as much as I love my podcast and love the content we put out, there are things which people have called me out on, not in a negative way, but being like, "Oh, remember you said this?" I was like, "No, I don't."
Why do I remember that? I keep telling. They'll be like, "But it was one of your episodes," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is." But look at the date. I mean, a lot of them are from 2 years ago.
And
and we do this every week.
And as a podcast, sometimes we record several in a day, especially if we're seeing each other over a show. And on the third episode, we have no idea what we're talking about.
No, and also, I mean, we've got is about to be 104th episode. Whoop whoop, and they're all about 30 to 45 minutes long. So that's a lot of hours worth of content. I'm just meant to remember,
Yeah, exactly. And also what's even worse is that I've there's a lot of YouTube videos of me doing stand-up, and since I've started working a job now, there's a guy in my office who's my line manager, and he loves stand-up, and he found out I was a comedian, and he's found he's went to town and found a lot of videos of me performing, and I can't remember what happened in these videos, but certainly there's some videos where I'm a bit, and let's say I'm anarchic, Dan. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
What do you think anarchic might mean in my...
I have no idea. I was hoping you were about to define it.
Well, because here's the thing, because I can't really remember, but there's a hot water video, and I think you can find it online. And he's like, oh Matt, I've found that hot water video. That was a very spectacular ending. I was like, was it? I can't remember what happened. And so then I had like anxiety for the next like 2 weeks. It's like, what happened? You know, like what did I do? And he kept on referring to it, like, and then I remember and referring to small people in this gig, and it makes sense because you know, like they're seeing it every detail of this thing, but for me it was like a flash in the pan kind of thing. So it's same with podcasts. If you listen to a podcast, you're taking in all the details, but it's very flippant, if you know what I mean. But then he was like, "Oh, it's not the first time you kissed a man." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You kissed a man on stage in your hot water gig, and that's how you finished the show." I was like, "Yep, can't remember that, but that sounds like a Matt Hoss thing to do."
Yeah, I mean, I get it when people say, "Oh, Dan, I was listening to that podcast. You said something really outrageous in episode 30." I'm like, I say something outrageous in every episode.
We have to edit it out.
Exactly.
If you want to listen to the Dangerous Cuts files, join our Patreon, and I'll release it without Dan knowing.
I wouldn't know, to be fair.
So Dan, should we get on with a myth, or should we try and improvise a boxing style introduction for each other right now? Because I think that might be quite good.
Okay.
What should we do for the next episode?
You can do it for next episode. We'll write one.
Okay, that's how we'll start the next episode, by really going deep on it. But like, and welcome to something like that. That was an awful introduction.
Matt, ladies and gentlemen, has never seen boxing ever in his life.
Nope. I watched a lot of Rocky when I was a kid. Like, and that's kind of weird because I'm not really a violent person, nor do I like sport. But Rocky, in my wheelhouse.
I mean, it's a good movie.
All of them are good until after 4 you don't need to watch, really.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think that's with most films. Once they get to like 4 or 5, you can pretty much say it's not the same thing anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point because with the I guess.
Well, it is the same thing, but it doesn't have necessarily the same love and care, perhaps, that the first few did. Like
Star Wars. That's an interesting topic, but I think we should just probably crack on. Otherwise, I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole. But are you ready for a Norse myth, Dan?
I am ready for a Norse myth.
All right, time to drink.
Norse myths. Norse myths. Norse myths. Norse myths.
Okay, so we are on 104, which is 104 episodes of great stories, and today is no exception because we have a 3-parter.
Wow!
Thank you. I'm gonna leave in that awkward pause there.
Well, I just felt like I should say something.
Well, yeah, I did kind of gesture for you to do it as well. But with that though, like, what was I going to say?
What were you going to say?
I do remember now. So it is a 3-parter, but you don't need to fastidiously watch them in parts. You can take them bit by bit if you wanted to. So it's part of a trilogy, but you can kind of jump in and out of them. You know what I mean?
What's the trilogy called?
We should probably give it a name. Actually, I think it's called the Saga trilogy.
Nice.
But we can call it whatever we want. We can rebrand it then. It's our own.
Well, why don't we, after we've done the trilogy, we'll name it. We'll
Oh, maybe we should, we'll name it at the end, but why don't we kind of put a sweepstake on what we should call it? Like, what's the most relevant thing? You know what I mean? Because you don't know what it is about.
I don't really know what it's about, yeah.
Well, why don't we call it something vague, like the Firelighter trilogy, something like that.
Oh, I see. Something really
It sounds like a shit, like a youth, like a teenager, like kind of like a Hunger Games kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I'm going to call them the Giant's Breath trilogy.
That's really good, actually. Giant's Breath trilogy. I'm going to call it the Ice Shadow trilogy.
Oh, nice.
There you go. I've written those down. We should write them. That'd be good. We've got time on our hands right now. All right. So today's episode is the first part of the Giant's Breath / Ice Shadow trilogy, and it starts off with something called Otter's Gold. And yeah, let's just get cracking.
Let's get cracking. Crack-a-lackin'.
Look, but let me start with a question, Dan. Why
Ooh.
is gold called Otter's Ransom?
It's not.
Yeah, it's. I've never heard it being called this, but
Why is gold called Otter's Ransom? No one's ever said that. No one has ever called gold Otter's Ransom.
I remember.
Or get me some of that Otter's Ransom. No one has ever said that.
Or like maybe in like a science classroom, it's like, okay, today, kids, we're going to be talking about all these different metals. We're going to talk about silver, we've got magnesium, and Otter's Ransom. I mean gold.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean gold. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, popular turn of phrase. Like, what is anyone ever? Imagine watching a cowboy movie. There would be some Otter's gold in that there mountains. Otter's what? Otter's Ransom in that there mountains. What are you saying? Is no one else called gold Otter's Ransom? Nope.
Otter's Ransom does sound like either a sexual act or a stick of dynamite. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does a bit. Otter's Ransom sounds like a book by like I'm trying to think of a popular detective writer, but it sounds like the kind of like a popular like fiction book about like someone who's like held
like
hostage.
A Stieg Larsson, perhaps.
Yeah.
The girl with an Otter's Ransom. Yeah, but also, right, we've done this before in the fact that when the source material has said, like, oh, remember, this is what this term means. And we're like, that's not a term. We haven't done that before. We did halcyon days. We talked about the halcyon days in episode 60-something. I think it was post-Odyssey, maybe 67 or something like that. And I was like, oh, halcyon days? I have never heard of that before. And we laughed at it. But the next 3 weeks, I heard that term used about 5 times consecutively. I'm like, oh, we are idiots.
I still haven't heard anyone ever use the word halcyon days.
I actually used it in a podcast in about episode like 85-ish, like when we started doing all stuff. I just slipped it in just to see who noticed, but no, you didn't. Well, you don't remember anything. That's fair enough.
Don't remember it, yeah.
So let's get on with the myth. So why is it called Otter's Ransom? We don't call it that, but maybe other people do. Many seasons ago, Odin, Loki, and Hymir were traveling to learn more about the world. They came to a river and walked along its shore until they came into a waterfall. Not came into a water. They walked into a waterfall. There they saw...
Good start.
Yeah, thank you. There they saw an otter who caught a salmon and was eating it. What I love so far is this next line's great. Loki picked up a stone and threw it at the otter and hit it in the head.
Lad.
The otter fell on the ground and was knocked out. Loki smiled and he said,
I've caught an otter and a salmon with one stone.
Okay, so a lot to digest there, not just salmon, but so why the first thing you do, see an otter, like, all right, I'm killing that, just throw a hoy stone at its head. like what, would you ever throw a stone at an animal, Dan?
Well, do 3-year-old humans count as animals?
Naturally, Dan, I do. That's why I believe they should be in zoos.
Well, I guess no. I've never had the urge to throw a stone at any animal, human or otherwise.
But Loki is here with not only 2 gods, but one of them is the All-Father. One of them is the highest of the high, and he's like, you know what I'm going to do? Throw a rock at an otter's head.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't have like an RSPCA or a PETA or anything like that in Asgard.
Norse Protection of Animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The NPA.
Yeah, NPA.
Also, you know when he says, I've caught an otter and a salmon with one stone, that's a phrase I'm going to start using. Instead of saying caught 2 birds with one stone, I'm going to start saying, oh, well, you know what I mean? Did one job, did 2, yeah, you might say I caught an otter and a salmon with one stone.
They were like, have you got some Otter's Ransom?
Yeah.
They picked up the otter and the salmon and continued their journey until they came to a house, and here they went inside. Here they met the farmer named Hreidmar, who was a powerful man because he is very skilled in the arts of magic. Odin asked, would it be possible if we could stay for one night? We can offer you our share of food. The Aesir gods then showed him the otter and the salmon. When Hreidmar saw the dead otter, he immediately called after his two sons, Fafnir and Regin. Do you want to do a voice for the old man?
Yeah. Look at the dead otter, my sons. Those travelers have killed your brother. Otter. I thought he was going to have a different name. He didn't. He's just called Otter.
Because it's spelled OTR. That's like the cool version of Otter. Otter.
Yeah, it's like his rap name, his street name.
Yeah, Otter. OG-O-T. That's delicious. Fafnir and Regin grabbed the Aesir and bound them all to a chair. You'll pay for this. The Otter was our brother, Fafnir raged. Was that all right? Cornish?
Yeah, it's a farmer, isn't it? Makes sense.
Yeah. Then Loki replied on behalf of the Aesir.
Will we give you as much wealth in compensation as you demand from us if you let us go?
So,
notice for continuity errors, I'm still using the same voice for Loki I have since episode 101.
Well, actually, 100, technically.
Since episode 100.
But yeah, may I say, your performance is going up and up, Dan. You're absolutely smashing it.
You too.
That felt hollow. But as we see here again, the thing is in Norse mythology, if they kill someone, and also if you kill a random thing, like if you broke a twig by accident in the forest, that's obviously going to be someone's grandchild. You know what I mean? Like that's so Norse mythology. Like, oh, you broke in my ant farm. They were all my cousins. It's like everything that can be killed in Norse mythology is definitely a person.
Yes, basically, yeah. It's everything in Norse mythology has a name as well. Like we always joke about how they'll be like, he picked up his frying pan and named Stephen, and you'll be like, why is a frying pan got a name? Like everything has a name, right? Everything is something to someone, which is actually quite a nice message, I guess.
And also beyond that, though, if you do kill someone, all you need to do to make up with it's not don't pay any crime time, or all you have to do is pay reparations. So oh, sorry. Would you like a more sport? You know what I mean? It's all you have to do is just give them gold to make them forget about it, if you know what I mean. Which I'm not sure if it's the best policy. Do you want to take it from here?
Yeah. So they've got to you killed my brother. What can you he's like, hey, what do you want as compensation? I do apologize.
Yeah.
Also, I thought they said he was knocked out. It didn't say he killed it.
No, I think he threw the rock at his head and killed him.
Okay. Earlier, it definitely used the word knocked out. Hreidmar stood up and walked over to the otter. He ripped off the fur and shaped it like a bag.
Well, he's definitely dead now, isn't he?
He's dead now. My goodness. Also, that's his son.
Yeah, and I like it. It's like, you've killed my son. No. Let's use him as a bag.
Yeah.
He's the most resourceful man in the world. He's very eco-friendly. He's like, I'm not going to let a dead body go to waste. No.
What did he say, Matt?
What kind of...
Oh, it was me. Sorry, I was the voice. You will fill the inside and cover the outside of this bag with red gold. Odin then said to Loki,
you got us into this mess. You need to travel to Svartalheim and find the red gold so we can pay our debt.
All right, if you insist, Loki muttered.
So,
when Loki came to Svartalheim, yeah?
So, Dan, where is Svartalheim? Do you remember which world this was?
Probably the dwarfs or the elves, maybe.
It is the dwarf world. It's Nidavellir, but yes, it's the dwarf realm.
Nice. When Loki came to Svartalheim, he saw the dwarf Andvari, who, at the sight of Loki, quickly turned himself into a fish and jumped into the river Andvarafos. Loki pursued him. Loki pursued him, and after a while, he finally caught the fish. He started to question the dwarf. Listen, Andvari, you will give me all your gold, or I'll break your spine.
No, please, I can give it to you. That's
I would reconsider. I would reconsider, Andvari. Your life is literally in my hands. Loki grimaced.
Fine. I agree to your demands.
That is famously what fish sound like.
Have you never talked to a fish?
No, not since Wednesday. Andvari reluctantly said they went to his house inside the mountains, and here Andvari showed Loki a room full of gold. The room was deep and full of enormous treasures. The dwarf tried to hide the little gold ring inside his hand, but Loki saw this and said, "Don't hide any of your gold from me, dwarf. I want it all." Andvari begged Loki,
"Please do not take my golden ring. Take everything else in this room, but do not take my ring. It is precious to me."
"Why is that?" Loki asked.
"If I can keep the ring, I will be able to make more gold for myself again."
Loki replied, "No, you will not keep one single goddamn coin."
Okay, so lots just happened here. So, firstly, Loki goes to a river, catches a dwarf as in fish form, which is strange, and we glossed over. He interrogates him. He takes him to the mountain, but he tries to hide this little ring. And but do you think Loki's being harsh here?
I think so. Yeah. Also, that guy just said he'll be able to make more gold for myself again if I keep the ring. It's not that ring that keeps multiplying, is it, or anything like that?
No, I don't think it is. Yeah. Or
it's just that he wants. He just wants to keep it so he can melt it down, I guess, and make.
Well, I guess it might be like a magic ring, but the idea is that this is that's like a crafting ring, if you know what I mean.
Loki picked up all the gold in the room and walked out the door, heading for the exit of the mountain. And Andvari yelled after Loki,
"The ring will be the death of you. The ring will destroy anyone who possesses it."
Loki yelled back, "I'll be fine."
Okay, so this has a bit of like a Lord of the Rings vibe.
It's
to it,
definitely
right?
Lord of the Rings vibe, massively.
Yeah, and Andvari yells, "The only way you can destroy the ring is by going to Mount Doom, and there's a big eye up there watching you to do it." It's a very plagiarized story.
Yeah.
But okay, so there's a curse put on him, but how can Loki take it? Like, how can he how much treasure is in this room? Because he's obviously just put a lot into this bag. Do you know what I mean?
He's Loki. He's super strong. He's a god.
Yeah, but like even practicality, you can't just carry it all. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I reckon the otter skin is like a magical bag because Hydra, the father of the otter, the farmer that gave him, skinned him and gave him the bag. I think he's magical, so it's probably got like Mary Poppins bag vibes.
Like a TARDIS in the back.
Yeah.
But how is he meant to fill it?
Well, he picks it up and puts it in there.
Yeah, but all right. But anyway, and Loki's very chilled out about it, so he's like, "I'll be fine."
Loki arrived back at the farmhouse and showed Odin the gold. Odin quickly noticed the ring and found it beautiful, so he took it for himself and gave the rest of the gold to Hydra. Hydra started to stuff this otter skin with as much gold as he could and set it upright when it was full. Odin then came and helped him cover the skin with the gold, and when it was done, he said, "Our debt to you has been paid."
Very nice. So Hridemar looked carefully, but he noticed that one whisker stuck out, and he said,
"You need to cover it, for our agreement will be broken."
Okay, so he's been an absolute stickler here. Odin took out the gold ring and covered the whisker and said, "We have upheld our agreement and are now free from the otter's ransom." So he just puts that magical ring on top of his whisker and to finally to solve his problems.
Yeah.
So the curse of the ring is no longer with them anymore. Whilst the Aesir was travelling back to Asgard, Loki kept thinking about Andvari's words, saying that the gold and the ring will be the death of anyone who possesses it. This is where we get the expression of an otter's ransom to mean gold. There you go.
Only we don't do it.
Well, we do, obviously, Dan. Right. In the next 10 episodes, I'm going to try and slip that in very, very subtly, and you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's totally good. Or we should try and do it in everyday conversations as well. But Dan, what are the Otter's ransom prices this week? Right. What are you talking about?
I'm still not sure. I think they've made it up. There's this being a saying. If anyone could email in, please, and tell us that it actually is one, I'd be very thankful.
Yeah. If you want to send us some Otter's ransoms as well, that'd be kind of helpful.
Yeah, that's true.
Donate to our Patreon that way. Lump gold, please. Unfortunately for the dwarves, the curse of the gold started to work its magic after the Aesir had left. Hridemar received this gold as compensation for his son's death, but His two sons, Fafnir and Regan, demanded that they got their share of the treasure, but Hreidmar would not give them a single coin. In response to this, Fafnir killed his father. What
a lad!
But that's like a very quick way of like killing you. Like that's inheritance, but fast, isn't it? Just kind of like kill you. Thank you very much.
There's been a whirlwind day for these guys. Big 24 hours.
Yeah, it's been like their brothers died. He killed his dad. It's like a Jeremy Kyle show. While their father was laying on the ground, covered in his own blood, Regan said to Fafnir, "Let us divide the gold amongst us equally." Fafnir replied,
"Oh, you want me to try and do a Fafnir?"
Yeah. How is my Regan? Was that all right?
Very good. Yeah.
Oh, I just said Reagan, but is that like Ronald Reagan? Do as unto us. I don't know what he sounds like.
Right. Fafnir replied, "What's Fafnir?" Okay.
I've highlighted.
"No, the gold is mine, and unless you want to share the same fate as your father, you better." Oh no, actually, they're farmers, weren't they? You went farmer voice last time when you did that.
Yes,
Reagan.
Yeah.
Fafnir replied, "No, the gold is mine, and unless you want to share the same fate as your father, you better leave now."
You know what? The farmer vibe very much adds to the Samwise Gamgee Lord of the Rings vibe, by the way.
It does.
Fafnir picked up his father's helmet and placed it on his own head. Hopefully not his penis, because that would be very different. The helmet was called Aegis, which means Helm of Dread, and it will bring fear to all living things they see. Fafnir picked up his father's sword, called Hrotti, and Regan fled and ran out the door with his sword refill in his hand. So a lot of different elements and lots of equipment here. Refill, Hrotti, and Aegis. And Regan's out the door. Fafnir collected all the gold and all of his belongings and travelled up the Nita Heath, where he made a lair for himself. Many seasons came and went, and Fafnir slowly changed himself into the shape of a dragon while he was laying down on his enormous gold treasure. What an ending!
Wait, Fafnir slowly changed himself into the shape of a dragon. So it is essentially just the Hobbit. I'm sorry. This is there's a whole thing. He's Smaug, isn't he? Fafnir is Smaug, and he went into the mountain of the hobbits and dwarves. Oh my goodness.
There's an extra paragraph here. Regan had hairy feet and lived in a small little bungalow in New Zealand. Yep, it is.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's you know what? I didn't realize that the vibe here, but it definitely does have a J.R. Tolkien vibe. Maybe Tolkien stole it.
Maybe. I mean, he definitely took inspiration, didn't he, from certain things?
No, it's very vague.
Well, I think he did genuinely take inspiration from Norse mythology. That's why there are dwarves and elves and giants and magic, and he definitely did.
That actually makes a lot of sense, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, and dragons and stuff like that. I mean, certainly not Greek mythology. They don't have dwarves and elves and dragons, whereas I think he's definitely got Viking vibes.
I guess Norse mythology is the basis of like fantasy in that whole genre, right?
Yeah. Particularly like Lord of the Rings, you know how like you think about the elves, they're all like Scandinavian-looking hot blondes.
Anyway, let's go and rank this myth. All right, Dan. So how do we rank this?
Life skills, morals, creativity, and WTF factor. Life skills is probably a solid 6. Morals is probably, I don't know. So life skills, these are things that we...
No, I want you to snapshot do it right now. Just because you started it, you've started being a dick. So I'm the kind of parent that makes you smoke the whole pack of cigarettes. So just do it fast and we'll reconsider. We'll do it properly.
Okay, easy peasy. Life skills, 8. Morals, probably a 6 or a 7. Creativity, pretty creative. I'm going to go for an 8. WTF, pretty messed up. I'm going to go 7 or 8.
That's it. End of the podcast. Bye, everyone.
End of the podcast. See you later.
I bet you would actually love it if we did that. You know what I mean? You would actually love it if we didn't do any discussion. Just here's the facts. See you later.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it properly. So life skills are the practical things we learn. And you said 8, which I think might be even high for me. But what do we learn, Dan?
Well, we've learned how to kill an otter. We've learned how to skin an otter for a bag. We've learned how to get some salmon. We've learned how to change into a fish. We've learned how to get that fish and break a talking fish and break its spine. We've learned how to get loads of gold and interrogate it. We've learned loads of gold. We've learned how to grab lots of gold and leave. We've learned about magical rings and how to create gold. We've learned about magic, how to turn a magical otter bag into how to turn otter skin into a magical otter bag. We've learned how to use magic to kill. We've learned how to kill our father. We've learned how to use these awesome weapons like the special helmet and the 2 swords.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned how to turn into a dragon.
We learned how to evade tax, and because like this analogy of a lair and a dragon, it's very much it's like a metaphor for the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
I think 8's bang on actually.
Thank you.
Maybe 9. Do you reckon a 9?
I think an 8.
Maybe a 9.
I guess.
Cheeky little 9.
We did learn a lot, I guess. Yeah. We haven't learned how to use the sword and the helmet, really, though. We just know they exist. We haven't actually learned how to use them.
Yeah. Okay, let's say 8. 8's fair. Morals. Okay, so I think this... you gave it 6, but I actually think there's more here. I think the big morals are you got to think about your actions. Because like if you just kill it randomly on impulse, like it gets into a whole bother and you have to sort it out. So we need to think about your consequences. Also, that if you're quite bullish, there can be curses, and gold doesn't necessarily bring happiness as well. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, right? Yeah.
It's about how wealth isn't everything.
And even though they get the reparations, it doesn't mean that they're going to be happy. For example, Haridemar's dead now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And other stuff as well. If you have a lot of gold, turning yourself into a dragon.
Well, the dragon metaphor, I guess, is him hoarding it, isn't it? It's about don't be a dick, like don't be a Scrooge.
And also, like if you've made a mistake, go and own up and sort it out yourself. Do you know what I mean? That's what Odin tells Loki to do.
Yeah. And he does, to be fair, and they get away with this fine. I mean, they've left for the night; they've gone.
Yeah. But then again,
they probably left that hut and they were like, "Wow, we did a really good thing there, guys. Those farmers are really wealthy now. Good on us."
Yeah, they're like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. That's a good point. But also, excuse me, one second.
Oh, Matt shit himself.
I did. How can you tell? I sneezed and shat. It also leads to the fact that Loki never gets his comeuppance as well. Do you know what I mean? He very much. Yeah. He kind of says, "Oh, I'll be fine," and he is. He's absolutely fine. He never gets any just revenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he literally is just fine. Like he just does it and leaves, and like, yep, sweet, fix that.
Yep, he is a happy-go-lucky guy.
Okay, you're right about morals, though. We have learned a bit more.
I'm gonna say 9.
Oh, it's not a 9 though. Jesus Christ!
Oh, come on, it's strong.
It's like strong. 7 or 8.
It's strong. Morals, you don't really get any moral message, and there's a lot here. In comparison to the others, it's a 9.
All right, go on then.
All right, no, are you happy with that? Because I'm not going to force my way.
I think it's an 8, and I'll tell you why. Right. I think the morals for me weren't as hard hitting. Like it wasn't as in your face as other myths. Like we've had to really decipher that from the nitty gritty of the narrative, whereas other myths are so in your face, like it's so obvious what they're trying to tell you.
But I think that allows it. But with other ones like that, you don't get. It's a lot more subtle because there's a lot more points to be taken from it. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that everyone is like, here's a bad thing, but here it's more like, like say fine wine. There's a lot of different notes of different things. You know what I mean? It's not just one thing which is the issue. It's a lot of different things, right?
Oh, I'm mad. I make coherent points.
Oh yeah, I studied English literature to an AS level. Because I did badly. What do you reckon? I'll let you decide.
I think 8.
Fine. I put 9 by accident. That's very passe. Are you sure it's not a 9? Let's move on.
Go on, put a 9 then. Go on.
Yeah. All right, nice. You know I'm right. Maybe a 10. Creativity. You said 8. I'm inclined to agree with that, to be honest. But the fact that this is very inspiring of J.R.R. Tolkien, the fact that There's a Otter who was skinned, gets skinned as well. That's very WTF.
It's very fast paced. I did like it. It was very creative. Like you see a lot of characters in a short space of time. It's all happened, we're led to believe, over sort of a 24-hour period.
Yeah, and like that whole family's ripped apart, like a bit like that was the skin.
Yeah, he was literally ripped apart.
Also,
it's good.
But the fact that Hreidmar, who's a very powerful man and was skilled in magic, and that never comes up again as well. Classic Norse.
Well, it did come up because he's got all these magical weapons clearly in his house, and he turned that Otter's bag into like a bag, like he made it into a magical bag that he could fill the gold.
I assume he just kind of ripped his son and just hope for the best. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that does make a lot more sense. This is mass killings all over again.
Oh, and he tied the gods up, didn't he? I mean, that's not an easy feat.
Yeah, I suppose I'll take that.
You ever tried to tie 3 gods up? It's quite difficult. I can't imagine that's easy.
Yeah, and they're very compliant, even though literally Odin's their all-father as well. Also, we've been to Svartalheim. That was nice. Just to catch a fish.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, so it's nice. All right. Yeah, I think 8's bang on.
Okay, nice.
And finally, is WTF. We've already mentioned the ripping of his son, killing an otter for a salmon, the fact that he turns into a dragon. He kills his father for gold. Yeah, I think there's some massive things here, and a wealth of different WTF stuff.
I think it's probably higher than 7, actually, in second thoughts.
What do you think?
Well, it's pretty messed up how he kills someone. He kills an otter. He delivers it back to that person. He's like, hey, thanks for letting us stay here. Here's a gift, an otter. And they're like, what the fuck? That's my brother.
Otter, no.
And you're like, oh, shit.
It would have been funny if like Fafnir was called Dragon or something like that. But yeah, it's but also some WTF we haven't discussed the fact that Loki essentially steals from a man, steals from a dwarf, and that's it. And we never hear from the dwarf again. We just hope he's okay. But he's poor. He just have no ways to make a living anymore.
Yeah, he's just been like robbed blind. It wasn't his fault.
And that's really messed up. Like it's like a slow death.
So it's probably an 8, isn't it?
Could be a 9.
See, this is always my problem with you, Matt. I always say this about people like when they talk about the ranking, and your problem is like, well, if it's a 4, it may as well be a 5, and if it's a 5, it may as well be a 6, and if it's a 6, it may as well be a 7, and if we're going to give it a 7, it may as well be an 8, and if we're going to give it an 8, we may as well just give it a 9. And hell, if we're going to go as high as a 9, we may as well just give it a 10. And we'll be like, how have we got there?
You make a point. But I don't know. I think if like what's the parameters there? And I think it's good to think about it. And if I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up and say, yeah, you know what? Maybe my ambition was too much, but I am always willing to think about it for another level. You know what I mean? Just to give it the correct marking.
Go on, give it a 9.
No, I think 8. 8's fine.
Okay, good. See, reverse psychology.
Let's give it a 10.
Can I just say, this is why I think my idea of just ploughing through bish bash bosh 8, 9 or whatever actually wasn't that far off, was I?
No, you were pretty good.
So we basically got to other than morals, which is a few points off, we basically got to the exact same conclusion, but we took way longer to get there. So actually,
yeah, but didn't you enjoy the journey?
Well, no, because I got to the same destination ages ago.
Yeah, but it's about our friendship.
Oh, wasn't that a beautiful hour-long drive? Not already, Matt. I teleported. I've been here an hour.
Actually, that is yeah. Well, next time we do a podcast, we'll do the boxing ring intros. Do the myth like in like 2 minutes, and then we'll just fuck off.
Yeah. Well, next week you're going to do this. We'll see if you also get to conclusion. I want to start doing a theory. Okay. Actually, we can do it very quickly.
Because I'm just going to do 10s across the board.
Yeah, that's my problem with you.
I'm just optimistic. Okay, so that life skills 8, morals 9, creativity 8, WTF 8. So that equals 33, is it?
Wait, let me do the maths. Let me do the maths.
I hate you so much. I hate you so much.
Let me work this out.
I hate you. I hate the whole thing you've just done now. Is like, oh, we need to get that really fast. We need to do that fast. And you do this joke every single time.
33, I make that.
You're such a prick. I hate you. Die, please. Sorry.
Do you remember that time? I won't know the episode, obviously, because I don't remember 75% of them. But do you remember when I wrote down the right next to you? I wrote the points down so tiny on my piece of paper.
No, thank you. No.
Perfect.
Stop.
33. That's a good one.
So, Dan, thank you so much for that. Have you had a nice time?
I have had a nice time. Thank you so much for letting me be here.
as a host, you're nearly severed from the MIFFS podcast team, but I'll let you on. But where can people give us 5 stars?
On iTunes or any of the podcast things they're using.
And why should they do it?
Because it spreads the word and it gives us love and it just lets us know that you enjoyed it.
Yes, leave some nice comments. Also tell our friends about us. And if you want to get in touch, follow us at MIFFS Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, join the Misfits fan group, and also send us an email if you want that personal touch, misspodcast@gmail.com. Let us, if we do usually read them out, but if you don't want to do that, that's fine, just let us know, and it'd be great. But I've been Matt Hoss.
I've been Dan Rhodes.
And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
MIFFS. 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 MIFFS.
Fuck that up, sorry. Can you...
If I can keep the ring, I will be able to make more gold for myself again.
That's not what he said, is it, Matt? That is literally not what he said.
I missed the line. I'm sorry. Sorry, I skipped ahead.
What did he say, Matt?
I'm sorry, Dan.
And Vari begged Loki.